Latham because it was a bad situation. And so I'm standing at half court. I'm talking to Bud Latham. Somebody says, "Coach, you have a phone call." They brought me a flip phone. I probably never even had used a flip phone before. And I get on the phone, and it's his mother, and she's in tears, and she goes, "Coach, will you promise that nothing is going to happen to him?" And I said, "I'll do my best."
Yeah.
So she let him play. But we split with them that year, so I think we must have lost that game. We beat them at home, and we lost that game. But the games were always tough, and that's how, 2 years ago, Grandview and Ray South, who had split in the regular season in conference, met in the finals of state.
Yeah.
And then Grandview beat them in the finals of state. So that rivalry it's probably even more heated than it was then. But it was always fun to coach against Bud Latham because he tried to control the tempo, and if he was ahead with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, he was going to hold the ball.
Yeah.
So you had to. He had this thing called alley cat that he ran. So you had to have a way to guard that to make sure that he couldn't hold the ball. So it was always a challenge, but it was fun. Always fun to coach against him.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, it was my pleasure, and time went by fast because we had little stories here and there, and it was fun.
That's the best. Yeah.
It always goes fast. Every week we're like, man, we could just keep this thing going all night.
Yeah. Well, can I tell one last story?
Absolutely.
Because I think this would be a good one to end on. This is St. Pius.
Okay.
And we had gone to the Final Four the year before, and we won our sectional game. I think we played Osceola, and I had sent my freshman coach to go scout. We didn't have huddle or anything back then. I sent my freshman coach to go scout Higginsville. And then we met afterwards, and my other assistant coach, who's still there, Joe Monachino, who's the principal there now, the coach that I sent out named Bob Lee, who's still a teacher there, Bob Lee comes back. Joe and I are there, and we're talking about the game we just played and blah, blah, blah. Bob comes, sits down, and says, so I say, "Well, what do you got?" And Bob says, quote, unquote, "We can't beat them." What do you mean we can't beat them? This is a 2A. It's called 2A back then. Today it would be called Class 2. They had a 6'9" center. They had a 6'4" guy out front. They played a 1-3-1 zone, and they had a 6'4" guy out front named Sidney Benton, who had already been All-State for 2 years and was going for being All-State the third year.
Wow.
Okay. Then they had long guys, 6'2" guys on the wings, and another 6'4" guy at the bottom of the 1-3-1. And he said, Bob Lee on the Sky Report says, "Coach, you can't even make passes. They're just so tough defensively. I don't see how we can beat them." So I look at his notes and think about it for a while, and then the next day I got a video from somebody, and we looked at the video, and everything that he said was true. So before practice, we had 2 days to practice. We're going to the quarterfinal game, and my scout says we can't beat them. So what we did, and I was actually talking to Blake Little about this yesterday, because he was talking about, well, what was the greatest game you ever coached at Grandview? And I said, well, probably the greatest game I ever coached wasn't at Grandview. Because what happened, and this sounds so odd, but remember, this is a team that we couldn't dunk a ball. Mm-hmm. We didn't have, but we were just really smart. So we play against a 1-3-1 zone. We bounced past every single pass the whole game.
So that takes away the reach.
They can't get to it, and they get frustrated. They foul. We make our free throws at the end. We beat them. We not only beat them, we beat them 70-60. We beat them by 10.
Wow.
And this was a team like the Las Vegas odds would have been we would have lost by 25.
Yeah.
And so still to this day, that game brings a smile to my face, probably even those big games that we were in and everything, because we overcame so much in that game. So
that's a great story. Just about like coming up with a way. You know,
Yeah.
when everybody else is like, hey, there's no way, I don't know what we can do, you know, and you just find a way as a head coach and being the guy in charge, figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, one more thing. Who are some, you know, coaching in the Suburban Conference, you know, it's tough. In football, it's tough every week. In basketball, it's tough every week. Who are some players that, you know, stick out to you over your years that were opponents?
Well, the young kid, I wish I could remember his first name. I can't remember it, but the young kid at Ray South was really, really hard to guard.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, I would say a whole team. We played in 10, after we had the 09 team go to state. In 10, we were in the district finals at Rockhurst.
Mm-hmm.
And Quantel was a senior. He was a junior on that 09 team. He was a senior. We were down 1, and we got the ball to him. And, you're asking me these names, and I have trouble with these names. The kid, he ended up starting for 4 years for Central Missouri. It was a Division II center, was their center. But we had like 3 seconds. We inbounded it from the side, had out of bounds, straight to Quantel. And he goes up, and that kid doesn't want to foul because it's a 1-point game.
Yeah.
So he just backs off, and Quantel has a wide open 1-foot jump hook, and misses it. So
because he's probably expecting contact.
And that kid had, and I'm sorry I can't come up with his name, but that kid those two had gone at each other the whole game.
Yeah.
And we had a chance to go pretty far in state that year. Our record wasn't as good that year. It was like 16-11 or something. But Quantel missed 6 games with a sprained ankle where the ligament had pulled away from the bone a little bit.
No.
So it wasn't like a 3-day sprained ankle. It was 3-4 weeks, and he missed 6 games. And so that's why our record wasn't as good. But we had a good team that year. The kids at what was the big kid at again? I have to look at scouting reports to see these names, but the big kid at Lee Summit North, we had a deal a couple years in a row where we'd beat them twice in the year, and then their Coach McCabe did a really nice job, and then 2 years in a row they beat us in the quarterfinals. Yeah, and they had the big kid that killed us. He got us in foul trouble in both those years. So, you know, we played a lot of talent all the time. We lost to Higginsville. Oh no, I said Higginsville. We lost to Harrisonville in a district probably in about 2011. And they had a kid that started for Columbia College for 3 years. And then they had the kid that couldn't play because he had heart problems later on in college, but he's now he trains NBA guys.
Okay.
And again,
Harrisonville's had some good athletes come through there.
Yeah.
And so the shocking, we actually had him beat. We were holding the ball. We were up 5, and the ref called a 5-second count, but we didn't think the guy was close enough to us for the count, and this and that happens. But we had and then they came back and beat us. So, and we were holding the ball to end the game, because if they would have, the kid that started it for 3 years at Columbia College had 4 fouls. If he had to come and foul us, he was guarding the guy. He was guarding R.J. Leverett, who was our point guard during that period of time. If he had to come and foul him, he's out of the game, and then we're on the free throw line. But that didn't happen. But it's hard for me to single out. It's hard for me to remember the names over all these years. But there was always great players that we were going up against. So.
I mean, it seems like that level of competition in the Suburban League just continues to go up every year.
Yeah, it does, and there's the coaching is really good, and especially since Huddle has come up with the I think it's called Huddle Plus, where they break down all the stats for you, and so now as the staff I'm on now, as well as the staffs we play against, they know exactly what they need to take away, and it makes everything hard. I don't really like it because it makes the games grind out, and that's not the kind of basketball I like. But that's why we're trying to get these athletes bunched together where we are and try to get to where we can press some to eliminate some of that grinding that goes on. So that's –
yeah, huddle has definitely been a game changer. In football, I remember – in 2003, my first year coaching, you got one VHS tape, and you're all, you got 14 guys sitting around.
You met Saturday morning at some parking lot and
exchange the tape, and huddle obviously, now, and in basketball, you guys have less turnaround time than we do in football.
Yeah, but huddle, we had a game. I think it was 2 years ago. We had a game where we had a Friday night game. We were in a tournament. We turned around and had like a noon game on Saturday. When we got in there in the morning, huddle had broken it down, and a feature they have in basketball is they give you, and this is about all we had time for because we were just going to get on a bus and go because the turnaround. But they had broken it down to where they give you the other team's 10 best offensive plays and the 10 defensive things that they do, and they had it broken down. So all you got to do is watch those 20 things and you're ready to go.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And then I told Steve Robertson, who was he just retired last year.
Yeah, he just retired.
The athletic director at Green Valley. After I was at Lee Summit 2 months, the next time I saw him, I said, "You got to get huddle," because it's really not fair.
Yeah.
If you're at a school that doesn't have the money to get that, and you're playing against the schools that do have the money to do that, it's not fair because it's such an advantage. So.
Yeah. I know, now, like, I get up Saturday morning, 7-ish, and, I just pull out my iPad, and I go through, and I'm responsible for, like, 3 columns of data, is how we have it divided up on our defensive staff. And so I go through, and I do my 3 columns, and then I go back and evaluate their offensive line and do all that other stuff that I normally would do. But, then our defensive coordinator, once everybody has their data in, typically by noon, he runs the reports, and we get their 5 best formations, 5 best offensive plays, all that stuff. And it's like, okay, this is what we're going to focus on this week. Because, as a coach, you can't take away everything. You got to pick, hey, I'm going to take away their 5 best things or their 2 best things, whatever it is. You got to take away what they do best or try to.
And Johnny Wooden won 9 national championships at UCLA, and he never scouted the opponent. He said, "Let's be worried about what we do." Of course, when you have Lou Alcindor, who's now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the cast of players that he had, that made that a little bit easier.
Yeah, when he was focused on recruiting all those dudes, that made it a lot easier. But, hey, this was fantastic. Thanks again for coming in. This was a lot of fun.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks. Yeah, and we'll take a short break, and then we'll be back with our power rankings.
You heard that right.
Van life. It's been defined as the continuous, everlasting void of living in a van. And if van life is calling you, then you should check out vandoit.com. Van Do It can be used as a primary vehicle with 7-passenger seating, convertible to a camper van, or anywhere in between. Go ahead, give our site and blog a gander. We assure you, it's going to make you say, you Van Do It. 816-944-2229. Or check us out at vandoit.com.
I'm Johnny Coy, head coach of the St. Joe Mustangs. If you're looking for professional quality, customized wood bat for your baseball player, Walk Off Wood Bat Company is the place to go. All bats are made with prime quality wood, and the options for customization are endless. Gamers, fungos, training bats, they have them all. The Mustangs are excited to have Walk Off Wood as our official bat supplier this season. If we trust our players to swing walk-off wood, you should too. Go online and order today.